So as you know myself, Krishna, and I'm having 15 plus years of experience. And coming to my professional experience, I worked on EBS. In EBS, I worked on supply chain management, manufacturing, and a little bit of planning. Planning for a short time, just for one project. I worked on the planning. And I'm part of implementations, upgrades, and supports in EBS. And from 2015, I'm working on the Fusion applications implementations. I have done O2C implementation and P2P implementation at the customer side. And so far, I did 5 implementations and 1 implementation on O2C and remaining 4 implementations on the P2P track. Okay. And right now, I'm also supporting one more client parallelly, which means this is my first supporting project on the Fusion. That is about my professional experience. Currently, I'm working for one company. And with the passion in teaching, I'm into the training from last 80 years. And in EBS, I trained 53 batches on the supply chain and manufacturing. And in Fusion, I have completed 30 batches. Right now, 31 batch is going on, which is almost at the end. And this year batch is going to be the 32 batch. That is about my training experience. Okay. And let's get into the agenda for today demo. So as part of this course, I'm going to cover supply chain management offering and as well as the procurement offering. In Fusion applications, both are separated. This will be discussed in detail in the next coming slides. So let us see the agenda. Okay. What is the innovation for Fusion? So because already there are different ERP applications are available in the market, and even there is an ERP application from Oracle that is called Oracle EBS. But again, why Oracle is going towards another application called Oracle Fusion? What is the need? That we'll discuss. And then later, if you're talking about Oracle Fusion, we should definitely talk about cloud. What is cloud? And what is the differences between on-premise and cloud? And what are the Fusion releases? What are the Fusion releases? And what is meant by SaaS terminology? What is meant by SaaS terminology and PaaS terminology and IaaS terminology? And we are going to fall under SaaS consultants. And the SCM modules overview. So what I'm going to cover as part of this course. And what are the benefits and how the Fusion application is useful to the clients to prefer, so that if more clients are preferring this application, then more projects are coming into the project. If more projects are coming, then more opportunities for us. Okay, how this is benefited to the client, that we'll explain in the at the end of the slide. Okay, next, first discuss about the first point, the innovation for Fusion. So Oracle is already having an ERP application called Oracle EBS. Oracle EBS journey started from 1980s, and it has spread his wings like anything from 1980s. But again, why Oracle is moving towards another ERP application called Fusion? Because Oracle already having one ERP application. But why again one more ERP application? It is because of the Oracle recent acquires. Okay, Oracle acquired PeopleSoft. The PeopleSoft is very famous for HRMS. The PeopleSoft very famous for HRMS, and JD Edwards famous for order management and procurement, and Siebel is famous for CRM, and Hyperion anyway it's Oracle product only. So what is happening is the HRMS is strong in PeopleSoft, and JD Edwards is strong in order management, and CRM is strong in Siebel CRM. That's why even though Oracle has brought all these companies, even though Oracle has purchased all these companies, so why can't I mix all these ERP application to build a new ERP application called Fusion? Because our Oracle EBS is than Oracle.
Your voices keep going away,
so that's why,
so
why can't I take...
Yeah, Krishna, your voice is breaking.
1 second, I'm waiting, I'm not speaking. There is a lot of rain going, a lot of rain outside, and a lot of wind is also there. That's why some network issue from my end. So if I see some network disturbance or dropping out, I'm going to be quiet. I'm not going to speak anything. Okay. I think you can hear me now properly.
Yes, now I can hear you, but
Yeah,
when
some
you
breakage,
started,
yeah. Some breakage
your
is there
voice went
because,
away.
yeah, because of the rain outside, some breakage is there in my voice. Bear with me. So Oracle EBS is famous for financials, and Oracle PeopleSoft is famous for HRMS. So Oracle has decided to mix all these ERP applications modules, the best flavors, into a new ERP application called Fusion. So that means Fusion is a hybrid product. It's a hybrid product. All the best data models from different ERP applications has taken into Fusion ERP application. Okay, and right, that's why in the market there will be no PeopleSoft in future and JD Edwards and Siebel CRM. There will be only Fusion ERP application from Oracle. Okay, and Oracle is also trying to because most of the customers right now in Oracle EBS, Oracle is encouraging all the customers to move towards to the Oracle Fusion ERP application. Oracle is encouraging in that way. So slowly Oracle is going to move all the customers to the Fusion applications from the existing Oracle EBS to Fusion. And next, when you talk about Fusion, you should talk about cloud. You should talk about cloud.
Can I ask you a question?
I'll take your question at the ending.
Okay, fine.
Yeah. Because to the interest of the time for others.
Okay, no, because you said if you have a question, you can ask right away. So that's
yeah,
why
but I
asked.
see your activeness that you wanted to ask more questions on every slide and
No,
every
it
point.
was just a very quick question because since you raised the issue, so I wanted to ask. But anyway, no problem.
Yeah, tell me now.
You said Oracle wants everyone to move towards the cloud or Fusion. Have they given any deadline that
it's not a small question?
How long they're going?
It's a big discussion. It's like a debate. It's not a small question.
Oh.
It's a big discussion. It's going to be a debate. Okay.
Okay. Fine.
So let us discuss that at the end.
No problem.
Yeah. So right now, if you're talking about Fusion, you should talk about cloud. And what is the difference between on-premise and cloud? That will also I'll cover. So in case of Oracle EBS, you have to maintain your hardware. You have to install the ERP application server in your hardware. You have to maintain the DBA team. You have to maintain the network team, and you have to maintain the security systems. So all this comes under capital expenditure. So which means even though you're a small client, let us take I'm a small client, but I have to buy hardware. I have to recruit the people to maintain my server, the DBA team or network team. That means in case of on-premise, capital expenditure and operational expenditure is more. What is meant by capital expenditure? Capital expenditure is nothing but the money that you spent on the equipment, and capital expenditure the other overheads, transportation and all. So in terms of on-premise, both are more. Capital expenditure and operational expenditure, both are more. You're not able to hear me?
Well, now it's okay. Your voice went away, so that's why I sent a message. But now it's I can hear you.
Okay. And when coming to the cloud, in case of cloud, it's a subscription model. Okay, so you'll be just paying some amount to Oracle. So Oracle will take care of everything. Oracle will take care of everything. I hear some noise. Can you please mute yourself, Neelam? I'm muting, okay. Naren, what I'm saying is on the capital expenditure is nothing but the money that you spent on the hardware that you are going to buy. So you have to buy the servers, the processors or the machines that you have to maintain. And also frequently you should also upgrade them. Because if you're buying equipment now, but based on the technology that is trending, changing, so you should again change that, or you should upgrade your servers. Okay. And operational expenditure, as I said, it's a salaries. Okay. And in case of cloud, it's a subscription model. So you need not to buy any hardware, or you need not to maintain any people. It will be maintained by the vendor. So Oracle is our vendor. So if you go to the Fusion applications, so this capital expenditure you can avoid, and operational expenditure also you can avoid. So you no need to maintain DBS, and you no need to maintain the network team, and you no need to buy the hardware. Everything will be taken care by Oracle itself. And while I'm doing an implementation in Singapore, I asked one of the IT director, already Oracle EBS is available, then why you are moving towards to the Oracle Fusion applications? Then that IT director told me, we did the comparison in the cost. Oracle EBS and Oracle Fusion, we did the comparison, and we see a lot of savings in the Oracle Fusion applications. That's why we are moving towards to the Fusion applications, Oracle Fusion implementation. That is one of the major factor. Most of the clients are planning to cut down their expenses and planning to move towards the Fusion applications and cloud solution. Okay, and there is one news also spreading in the market, which is nothing but the security. If it is on premise, the data is with me, I'm more secure. If it is cloud, I cannot have that much confidence to maintain my data. Suppose let us take financial clients. In case of finance industry, their data is really critical for them. They don't want to host their data on the cloud. They would like to maintain within their premises itself. Okay, so right now, most of us, we are using the cloud space. Let us take Google Drive. We are using the cloud space. Like that, there are many applications are there. And even in the market, there are many cloud space vendors are there. Like Amazon is holding more share, and Microsoft later on. And then later on, Google Cloud is there, and Oracle Cloud is there. So why all these giants are competing? If you are still looking at the security reasons to prefer this solution, then why there is a lot of competition in the market? Okay, so as of now, we have not heard any security breach issues because of the cloud. I think there is one news from the AWS side we have heard 2 years back, but other than that, we have not heard anything on the cloud space security issues. But even though if the clients are feeling like that, we want to be more secure, we don't want to host our data in the cloud space, then Oracle has also given one more option called Clouded Customer. This Clouded Customer is nothing but Oracle is going to install the hardware and everything within your network firewall, within your company premises. That means the server is within your company premises only. So it is your responsibility to maintain your own network firewall to provide the security to your server. This concept is called as Clouded Customer. Okay, so this is right now available, but this is again costlier when compared to the cloud, because the cloud is nothing but it is not a separate hardware that Oracle is going to maintain for you. But in case of Clouded Customer, the Oracle has to maintain separate hardware within your firewall. Okay, this is called Clouded Customer. This is right now available for the clients. Suppose if I'm from the financial industry and I want my data to be more secure, then you can prefer to go with this option. Okay, but again, Oracle will take care of the maintenance, which means Fusion applications, every quarter there will be latest functionalities are available, and the latest patch fixing is available and bug fixing is available. So Oracle will take care of these activities on regular basis, on quarterly basis. For every quarter, you'll be moved to the new application. So even though if you're preferring to the Clouded Customer, but the maintenance will be taken care by Oracle only. Okay, because Oracle has to,
including the backups and everything.
Yes. Okay, Oracle is going to, you have to create a ticket to Oracle for the backup and all. Okay, the maintenance will be taken care by Oracle only. So it is in Oracle hands still, but the server is within your network firewall. Okay, and let us come to the ERP releases. Fusion ERP releases. So it started from 1, and if you see the version numbers here, I'm keeping every one of you on mute because I see some sound disturbance. That's why I muted every one of you. So if you have questions, unmute and ask me. Okay. In terms of releases, the first release is 11.1.1. Okay. So you have to look at the third digit. The third digit is nothing but the version number. Okay. So what is this 11? This 11 is nothing but the Oracle generations. As per Oracle, right now we are in the 12th generation and we are moving towards the 13th generation. Okay. That's why if you see all the Oracle products right now in release 12, Oracle EBS is in 12th generation, and Oracle Java is also in 12th generation, and Oracle database is 12C. Okay, all the Oracle products are in the 12th generation and slowly moving towards the 13th generation. When the Fusion applications development started, Oracle is in the 11th generation. Oracle is in the 11th generation. That's why 11.1.1. The third digit is nothing but the version. Okay. The latest version in the market, the latest version in the market is, the latest version in the market is 20B. I've not updated this, I'm sorry for that, which is release 13 20B. Okay. So release 13 is nothing but the generation. So already Fusion applications has moved to the 13th generation. What is this? This stands for year. The 19 is nothing but 2019. I should update this slide. It should be 20. And then this D is nothing but the quarter. We are in the second quarter, right? We are in the second quarter. This should be B. Okay. That means we are in the release 13 20B. So I'm going to explain the classes in the latest version itself, and the access also provided to you for the practice in the latest version only. So which means I'm going to train you on the release 13 20B version, and the same version is going to given you for the practice, which means in this version, all the latest features are available by Oracle. Next, when you talk about Fusion, we should also talk about what is SaaS, PaaS, and IaaS. Okay, SaaS is nothing but software as a service. So for in a layman language, it's a front end in a layman language, and then PaaS, platform as a service. It's a middleware to connect the different system. It's a middleware to connect the different system, which is nothing but PaaS, platform as a service, and IaaS, infrastructure as a service. Infrastructure. See, we are not maintaining our infrastructure. For our server, we are not maintaining our infrastructure. We are taking the infrastructure services from the Oracle. Okay. So Oracle has targeted all these three areas. In case of EBS, in case of Oracle EBS, Oracle has targeted only SaaS, not IaaS. Because in case of EBS, it's an on-premise. You have to maintain your server. But in Fusion, Oracle has also targeted IaaS also. Infrastructure as a service. So Oracle is providing all these three options to the customers. Okay. You can only go for SaaS, and if required, you can go with the PaaS. If required, you can go with the PaaS. I'll tell you an example. Okay. And also in the future, right now we are called as a functional consultant and technical consultant, but in the future you'll be called as a SaaS consultant. A functional consultant is called as a SaaS consultant, and a technical consultant is called as a PaaS consultant. Okay. And a functional consultant, you're a functional consultant, but you take care of different modules. So SCM, manufacturing, planning. So that way also we will be able to change our designations in the future. So which means to stay SCM SaaS consultant, manufacturing SaaS consultant, finance SaaS consultant. That means a functional consultant. Okay. And PaaS. In terms of PaaS, you can call them as a technical consultant right now or developers. And this will be also segregated in Fusion. Right now, some companies are already following this methodology, nothing but integration consultant and reporting consultant. Integration consultant and reporting consultant. So right now in EBS, there is no separate segregation. Okay. If your designation is technical consultant, you might work on integrations or you might work on reports. But in Fusion, if you're an integration consultant, you'll be only responsible to take care of the integrations only. If you're a reporting consultant, you'll be responsible to take care of the reporting only. So that's why some companies are already segregated the SaaS consultant, PaaS consultants into integration consultant and reporting consultant. An example, apps associates. Apps associates team is different like this only. Integration team is separate and then reporting team is separate. If any report has to be developed, that should go to the reporting team. If any integrations has to be worked on, that should go to the integration team. So the PaaS consultant job has been diversified in the Fusion application. Okay. And when the PaaS license is required, okay, suppose if you wanted to implement financials, if you want to implement financials or procurement or supply chain or manufacturing, you have to buy SaaS license. Okay, the SaaS license is nothing but it depends upon the number of users. If it is 5 users, some cost. If it's 10 users, some cost. Okay, along with the SaaS, you'll also get IaaS also. That means if you buy SaaS subscription, you will also get IaaS as well. Okay, and you can pay to the Oracle for 3 years, or you can pay to the Oracle for 5 years, and you can renew slowly your SaaS subscription. Okay, and what about PaaS? When the PaaS is required? The PaaS is required in terms of integrations only. If you want to build integrations with other systems, then only the PaaS is required. Okay, the integrations, there are different techniques out there. Without PaaS also, you can build the integrations. So far, I worked on 5 implementations. In 4 implementations, we used only SaaS. We not used PaaS because PaaS is a separate costing to the client. It's a separate license. Okay, so how we have built the integrations using SaaS, using the REST APIs, using the web services. So using web services without any PaaS license, you can build the integrations between the other systems. But there are some limitations out there. What kind of limitations? If you're just having SaaS license, you cannot create any custom tables or you cannot alter the tables. So for the data massaging and data validations, we are going to create a stage tables, right? That feasibility is not available in SaaS. You cannot create a new tables. You cannot alter the existing tables. So for that, you have to go with the PaaS, only for the data validation, data massaging. And if you want to use a tool called Oracle Cloud, OIC, Oracle Integration Cloud. If you want to use such kind of modern tools for the integrations, then you have to go with the PaaS license. And if you want to do the data massaging and data validation, you have to buy DBCS, Database Cloud Service, which is a PaaS tool. So you can buy 1 GB space or 2 GB space where you can create a custom tables, nothing but the stage tables, and you can do the data validation there, and the validated data, you can push it to the Oracle interface tables. And for the data massaging also, you need not to buy PaaS. What you can do is, in the third-party system itself, let us take an example of EBS itself. So you are bringing the data from EBS to the Fusion. What you can do is stage tables you create in EBS itself. Do the data validation, data massaging there itself in the staging tables and push the data to the Oracle Fusion. That means in the third-party system itself, you can create the custom tables and do the data validation and push the proper data to the Fusion application. That way also you can manage. So we are giving the solutions to the clients like this instead of, it's again the frequency of the integration. It's again the frequency of the integration and real-time data. Suppose if there are a lot of integrations out there, just for 1 or 2 integrations, we don't suggest to buy the PaaS license. Okay, if there are more integrations out there and there is a more real-time data that you have to sync between the system, then we'll suggest with the PaaS. And in case of PaaS also, there are different techniques out there. As I said, Oracle Integration Cloud is one tool and Dell Boomi is one tool, which is given by Dell. There are many technologies out there where you can suggest a solution to the client to implement them. You can do a POC before you actually prefer to one solution. Okay. And next, coming to this slide is nothing but the SaaS offerings. So these are the major modules which are available. Apart from this, there are other modules also available in Fusion. So financials, and then HRMS is called as human capital management, and supply chain management, procurement, project portfolio management, and CRM. Okay. Now we are going to, and GRC, government risk and compliance. So project accounting name has been changed to project portfolio management in Fusion, and HRMS name has been changed to human capital management. And apart from this, manufacturing is available in Fusion. In terms of manufacturing, discrete manufacturing is available. Process manufacturing is also available. Process manufacturing is available from 19B. From 19B only, recently, last year. Process manufacturing is available. Planning is available. Okay, I have not mentioned self-service procurement and purchasing, sourcing module, procurement contracts. I see some breakage notification. I'm waiting. I think my voice would be fine now. I'm again starting. So in the procurement, I'm covering self-service procurement, which is nothing but procurement in EBS, and core purchasing, and then sourcing, procurement contracts, and supplier portal. So there are 5 modules that I'm going to cover as part of the procurement suite. When coming to the supply chain management, product management, where the item definition happens here. In case of Fusion, we don't create items in inventory. We create items in the product management. And then costing, I'm going to cover costing, and this distributor order orchestration and GOP falls under order management module. GOP and then GOP, global order promising. What is the uses of the global order promising? The global order promising is useful as to schedule the orders according to the demand and supply availability. And distributor order orchestration, you can compare this distributor order orchestration with the workflow in EBS. So these two falls under order management. And also I'm going to cover pricing. And inventory is nothing but this logistics, shipping and receiving. It happens in the inventory. So apart from the asset management, I'm going to cover all the modules that are falling under the supply chain management offering. What is this asset management? This asset management is nothing but EAM, enterprise asset management. Enterprise asset management. Apart from this, I'm covering all the modules. Suppose if I go to the next slide, I'm going to detail you here. I'm covering inventory. In the inventory, I'm going to cover all the transactions like miscellaneous, sub-inventory, movement request, intra-nation transfer, physical counting, cycle counting, serial control, lot control, revision control, locator control, minimax planning. Okay, so all the concepts that I'm going to cover in the inventory except consignment process. Consignment process I'm not covering because I have not worked on the consignment process. That's why I'm not touching the consignment process. Apart from the consignment process, I'm covering all the modules, all the concepts in the inventory. And also the training would be, I'm going to configure the application, the inventory setups. On top of the inventory setups, I'm going to show you the business transactions. It's a kind of an implementation project. Only difference is to the real-time implementation to our sample project is the requirement gathering. In case of real-time implementation, you gather the requirement and later you are going to configure the application. But here, we are not gathering the requirement, we are resuming the requirements and we are configuring the application, and I'm going to show you all the transactions, end-to-end transactions. Okay, and the next model is product management. As I said, in Fusion, item definition is going to happen in product management only. It is not going to happen in inventory. So items has to be created in product management. To define items, what are the configurations required, like item unit of measures and item templates or item statuses. So all those configurations I'm going to do, and then later we're going to define the items from the product management module. And the next one is order management. Same in order management also, I'm going to configure all the setups like release sequence rule, pick slip grouping rule, and shipping parameters, ship confirm rule, and document generation rules, and picking rules. So all the configurations. After that, I'm going to show you the cycles. What cycles we have? Standard sales order, dropship sales order, back-to-back sales order, and transfer order flow. You mean transformation rules, Abhishek? Pre-transformation rule and post-transformation rules. Yes, I'm covering that. if
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
meaning it that way.
correct.
I'm going to cover credit holds, processing constraints as well, apart from the cycles. And also the tables, every module tables and reports I'm going to cover. Every module tables and reports. Because you should be able to know what are the standard reports available so that you can, during the requirement gathering for the reports. So if the client is asking a report, so that you can compare, okay, this is standard report or this is the custom report, you can quickly tell to the client. Next one is GOP, global order promising. As I said, global order promising is used for the order scheduling. The scheduled ship date on the sales order is based on the supply and demand availability. Supply and demand availability that will be taken care by GOP, global order promising. Okay. And next is distributor order orchestration. As I said, it's a workflow. It's a workflow in EBS. So based on the distributor order orchestration, system will be identifying whether it is a standard sales order or dropship sales order or back-to-back sales order. And based on the actions that we are performing, it's going to launch the next process. So GOP and do are falling under order management only. And also I'm going to cover pricing also, pricing, which is also I can say order management module. So these three modules are required for order management to set up. And then costing. In the costing, I'm going to show you the distributions. I'm going to show you the standard costing. I'm covering the standard costing, but I'll explain you how average and actual cost is going to work. Theoretical, I'm going to explain, but I'm not going to show you in the system, but standard costing, I'm going to show you from end to end. And also the period close process also happens in the costing module. In Fusion, there are no periods in inventory or purchasing or order management, no periods. Periods are only in the costing module. So period close process I'll explain in the costing module. In the costing module, I'm going to show you the distributions for every transaction. Like in case of sub-inventory transfer, what are the entries? What are the entries? In case of O2C, what are the entries when you ship confirm the sales order? Which account will be debited and which account will be credited? And also I'll explain you the SLA also, how to configure the SLA, subledger accounting for inventory transactions and for OEM transactions. I'm going to explain theoretically the SLA part. But if you want, you can, based on my theoretical discussion, you can explore yourself. If you have any questions, you can always come back to me, because SLA is not our concept. It is not a supply chain management concept. It's a financial concept. It's a financial concept. SLA is basically. Okay, that's why I'm going to give you knowledge on that. I'm not going to show you end-to-end process on the SLA. Next, coming to the procurement suite, purchasing, where I'm going to explain the standard POs, BPAs, and CPAs, and approved supplier list, and self-service procurement, catalog requisition, non-catalog requisition, how to create them, and then supplier portal. So here, supplier acknowledgement to our purchase orders, and ASN creation and invoice creation from the supplier portal, and sourcing module, where you create RFQs and you receive responses from the suppliers. You're going to identify the best response. And procurement contracts, I'm going to show you how to build a contract between the buyer and the supplier, between the company and the supplier. So how to build a contract using our terms and conditions. Okay. And apart from these modules, the major important concepts in these modules are cycles. So as I said, I'm going to cover all these cycles along with the accounting entries. So these are the order management cycles. And procure to pay cycle also I'm going to cover along with the accounting entries. And then later on, important topics called approvals. Approvals is really important because you have to configure approvals for the requisitions and approvals for the purchase orders, and supplier approvals also available. I'm going to explain supplier approvals. I'm going to explain the RFQ approvals also, and sales order approvals, which is new in Fusion. Conditions. I'm waiting. Once you can hear me, let me know. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you, Krishna.
We are able to hear you, but
Yeah, I understand sometimes it is breaking, yes. Sorry for that. And in approvals, what I'm saying in approvals, we have 5 types of hierarchies: supervisor hierarchy and position hierarchy and approval group and single approver. So all those 5 types of hierarchies I'm going to cover. And as I said, period close process is important. This I'm going to cover as part of the costing. And how to customize the orchestration. Nothing but in EBS, we are mostly customizing the workflow. And in Fusion, how to customize the orchestration, I'll explain you. But it is not easy customizing the orchestration. I'll just walk you through how to customize the orchestration. But Oracle is also not suggesting you to customize the orchestration because it will lead you into a lot of troubles. But I'll explain you how to customize it. Okay, we know customize the orchestration so far. It is not easy. And then customer facing documents like purchase order, you'll be sending to the supplier. So where you'll find the RTF template place, where you find the RTF template place for the purchase order and for the sales order. So that navigations I'm going to show you where you'll find that RTF template. And if you're a developer, you can customize that RTF template and you can work on the further changes on those customer facing documents. And then, as I said, seeded reports are covered. What are the standard reports are given by Oracle? And apart from the standard reports, on the transaction page itself, Oracle has provided live analyticals, live dashboard analyticals. So I'll also explain you the live dashboard analyticals so that instead of building a new report, you can also explain the client about these infolets that we call it as the technical infolets. So the infolets is also provide information, kind of a report on the transaction dashboard itself. So which is also useful for the clients. I'll explain you the reports available in each module and RTF templates available in each module and infolets available in each module. I'll explain you all these areas. Fine, Surya, thank you. And additional concepts. Apart from this, being a functional consultant, you can also take care of the data conversion as well. Data conversion, nothing but you can bring the data from the third-party system to Fusion applications. It's a, suppose for beginners, it's an example. Suppose you purchased a new mobile. From old mobile, you have to bring the data to the new mobile, right? Like contact and then messages or photos or videos, you have to bring to the new mobile. In the similar way, you have to bring the data from the old system to the Fusion applications. If the client is coming to the Fusion applications, you have to bring the old data, the data from the old system to the Fusion application. So what kind of data? What kind?
conversion, right? It is.
Is it data conversion?
Consultant in Fusion projects. I'm going to explain you that. Okay, and also give me a moment, team.
Is it data?
So as I said, for data conversion, there are 2 techniques are there. One is FBDA and one more technique is called as ADFDI. So I'm going to explain you both the techniques. ADFDI is which is equivalent to the WebADA in EBS. So those 2 I'm going to explain. And also, let me go back to the previous slide. There is a concept called a functional setup manager. This functional setup manager is nothing but being a project manager. Suppose if you are playing a project manager role in the company. So being a project manager, you can configure the project and you can assign the project task to the consultants to work on. So that project manager activities I'm going to cover as part of the functional setup manager module. So here we create a project and we are going to select the modules that we are going to implement. And each module setup task I'm going to assign to the consultants working in the project. Let us take approvals. Approvals, I want somebody to work. In supplier creation, I want somebody to work. So I can assign the task to the consultants and I can track in the application who is working on that particular task. Okay, that comes under functional setup manager. And then OTBI, Oracle Transaction Business Intelligence. This OTBI It is a user-based interface, UI-based interface, where you can drag and drop the column tables to pull or to generate a report. Okay, but you cannot build a complex reports using OTBI. You cannot. It's very tough to group different subject areas or different tables into OTBI. But simple reports, basic reports having 5 to 10 columns, it's very easy to build on the OTBI, and OTBI also I'm going to cover as part of the course. Okay, and as I said, reports and tables I'll cover. And then there is a concept called import and export feature. What is this import and export? This is nothing but if you configure one instance, let us take in EBS, we do multiple iterations, like you build a development instance, a CRP instance, and then development instance, and SIT, UAT, and production instance. That means you are repeatedly doing the configurations in all the instances in EBS. But in Fusion, we don't have that many iterations. In Fusion, we have only 2 applications, that is test instance and production instance. In the test instance, you have to run your CRP or development or SIT or UAT or whatever you name it. You have to run everything in the test instance only. Okay, let us take you configure the test instance and you have given it to UAT and users has tested properly and the test instance is working fine. Then again, you need not to configure manually the production instance. So you can copy the configurations from the test instance to the production instance. You can copy the configurations. Again, you can choose which object you want to copy. Nothing but which setup you want to copy, you can choose. Suppose let us take one setup, there is a lot of unnecessary data. You don't want to copy to the production. So you don't select that particular object. Select the objects which data is properly configured. That objects only you can move to the production instance. So that kind of feature is called as import and export feature, which will save a lot of implementation time. Okay. And then coming to the integrations, there is a concept called coexistence. The coexistence is nothing but PeopleSoft, JD Edwards, Oracle EBS, all these are the Oracle products only. So with the Oracle products using coexistence model, using predefined integrations, so we can easily connect with those systems. You can easily connect to those ERP applications. That concept is called as coexistence. I'm going to theoretically explain you how coexistence is going to work. And implementation methodology. Implementation methodology for cloud, we are going to use cloud OEM methodology, cloud Oracle unified methodology. I'm going to explain you the methodology phases, like requirement gathering phase and all. Here we call it as the inception phase in OEM cloud methodology, and also the documents that will be prepared. The documents like BR100, TE40, TE50, or scope document or requirement gathering document. So in Fusion, what are the documents that we prepare and what is their naming conventions? I'll explain you that. Okay. And also I'll give you the sample format of my current projects, which I have worked, the sample format of my current projects. But to be frank, Fusion applications are really fast-paced projects. That's why most of the companies, 95% of the companies are not following any methodology, to be frank, because the Fusion application implementation has to finish in 4 months or has to finish in 5 months or 6 months. There is no time for the documentation. There is no time for the proper process to be followed. If you are following proper process or if you are following the proper documentation, it will lead to a lot of time. Okay, except some audit-based companies like Deloitte and some companies, they are following still the methodology, but other companies are not following, as per my knowledge. Okay, and this is the sample page of the Fusion applications. So to access Fusion applications, we don't require Java. So it's a web-based application, and also it's a user-friendly. See the home page. So everything, this is the business user homepage. So for business users, it is user-friendly, because if you take Middle East projects, the user acceptance is very low. If you have to pass UAT means you have to face a lot of troubles from the users, because Java-based navigation, so the users has to perform a transaction, they has to navigate to here and there. It is not the user-friendly. Suppose, let us take an example. If you ask a user to order anything from Flipkart or Amazon, they don't require any training. But if you order something from the Oracle EBS, they require training. That's why Oracle is designed all these pages on the web. Based on the web, they can see everything on the home page itself to perform the transactions. Suppose if they want to perform any transactions on the, suppose want to create a payable invoice, they can go here. And they want to perform any warehouse transactions like receiving, they can go here. So it's very user-friendly environment for the, and you can access this application from mobile, from tablet, from anywhere you can access the application. You just need to have internet, that's it. Okay. And as I said, it's an attractive UI and easy adaptability with less user trainings. We need not to put more time on the user training because just by looking at the pages itself, users can directly navigate. And then reporting capabilities, as I said on the transaction dashboard itself, there are some infolets are available. Let us take an example. If you are using a credit card, if you log into your credit card account, it will display the data in the bar graph or pie chart, your spend analysis. Last month you spent 50% on the clothing, or 30% on the restaurant, or 10% on the medicines. It will show you that graph either in bar graph or either in pie chart. In the similar way, in the transactional dashboard itself, Oracle is going to present you the data. Okay. And as I said, the implementation time is coming down. I told you one example called export and import feature. So using that implementation time is really coming down. Like that, there are some other features for also there. Like there is a concept called reference data set. So where you can configure setups one time, and the setup you can map to different business units. Nothing but if you take an example of EBS, in case of EBS, if the setups are common, still you have to configure under all the operating units. Suppose let us take, I have worked for a client called Getty Images. For that client, 48 operating units are there. But the setups are common. So you have to roll all these setups into 48 operating units and you have to test that. In case of Fusion, there is a concept called reference data set. What you can do is you configure the setups and you link that setup to the reference data set, and that reference data set you can attach to all the operating units. So using that, the implementation time is also coming down. Okay. And I would say, if you ask me a basic example of the implementation time, suppose the implementation time is varied based on the number of operating units and number of users based on the volume of the data. The implementation time is varied in case of EBS or in case of Fusion. But if you ask me a comparison, if any EBS project, if it is happening in 1 year, the same project it can complete in Fusion within 6 to 7 months. That means 30 to 40% time is coming down in case of Fusion implementations when compared to the EBS. Okay. And then data migration also. So data migration is also, see, in case of EBS, you have to build the scripts to bring the data. But here, already predefined templates are available given by Oracle. You just have to fill the data into the template and upload that Excel sheet, upload that template into Fusion applications. That's it, very simple. No need to build the SQL scripts for data migration. Okay. So these are all the factors for the first factor is the cloud solution, because we are saving a lot of money there. And the next factor is implementation time, because we are investing the money. You need not to wait for 1 year or 2 years for your product. You can get your product immediately. Okay, all these are the factors for the implementation time. And then, as I said, this is the OEM methodology, the sample phases, the project design phase and the configuration phase and validation phase, transition and realization. And in the screenshot, if you see what is Oracle responsibility, what is client responsibility, and what is shared responsibility. Okay. So what is the activity in each and every phase? So that I'll cover detail in the OEM methodology session. And these are the documents that will be prepared in the OEM methodology. And when coming to the course duration, it would be 70 hours. I need 70 hours, 70 sessions to complete the supply chain management and procurement suite, whatever I'm offering. Totally 12 modules I'm offering. and also daily 1 hour session from Monday to Saturday. Based on the availability of the students, sometimes I'll take 2 hour session on Saturdays based on the availability. But Sunday we are not having any classes, and you'll have access to daily recordings. So each and every session uploaded into our website. So once you register to this course, you'll get access to our website. So you can log into our website and you can watch the videos, daily recordings you can watch. Suppose in case if you have missed a session, by evening or by afternoon, you can watch the recording to be able to prepare yourself for the next session, and you'll have these recordings access till 1 year. Okay, and I would say it's a 1 year membership. So you'll have 1 year membership, which means 1 year videos access, and within 1 year, again, if you wanted to attend any batch in my upcoming batches, if you wanted to attend, I'm going to start a new batch on monthly basis. Suppose for any professional reasons or personal reasons, you're not able to complete the course in this batch, so still you can continue to attend the next batches also. We don't stop you. Suppose you have already attending this batch, suppose you wanted to again refresh or you want to attend one more time, we don't stop you. You can attend again one more batch also. Okay. And I have a material which is prepared with the screenshots and navigation and definitions. I'll also share with you. And also during the training, I'm going to possibly explain my project real-time scenarios, which I have faced and which I have worked on. Okay. And also latest features explanation. As much as I know on the latest features, I'm going to explain you in the class. Okay. That is about the course details. And why tech leads? So we are into the market from many years. We are providing the quality teaching, and I'm the director for the tech leads. So I closely monitor everything. It can be any other course, either supply chain or financials or any other course. I'm going to closely monitor all the faculties and all the students' concerns and everything. And you'll expect real time from us, because the faculties in this institute are real time. They are working in companies and they are working on the projects and fusion projects, and they are sharing their knowledge in the classes. It is not their bookish knowledge. So some faculties, they just learn the module, they're going to teach that. I'm not going to encourage that kind of fellows into the training. The faculties working with me, with my institute, all are real time. They are my professional friends and they're my project mates. Okay, so that's why you'll get real time from our institute. And that is from my side. And these are the other courses that we are offering. We're offering supply chain, human capital management, financials, technical, manufacturing, planning central. Okay, we are covering all these courses. If you're interested for other courses, or if your friends are interested for other courses, please feel to refer to us. Okay, so that is from my side. And I'm going to start the batch from Monday onwards. So this is the demo class. The first class would be from Monday 8 to 9. 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. IST, 1 hour. Okay, so you can use the same meeting ID, and same password to connect to the first session, which is from Monday onwards. I'm stopping the recording. I'm available for some time to clarify your one-to-one questions or any technical questions for the slides that we have completed so far. Okay, give me a moment.